Thank you. You have to have little toys.
Okay, I'm showing live.
Okay? Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to call to order the Bethlehem Landfill Committee meeting on January 18th, 2024, and it's 2 p.m. We're going to start off with waste activities on the agenda, and I guess that's you, Astor, correct?
Yeah. So,
Sorry, can we have an introduction of members?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, I'm Priscilla DeLeon. I'm the newly elected president of councils. Go ahead.
Ryan Morrow, newly appointed member of the Landfill Committee.
Master Lawson, District Manager, Bethlehem Landfill.
Scott Brown, Host Inspector.
And Victoria Optoff Cordero, a member of council and also co-liaison with Priscilla.
Mark Hudson, Township Manager.
Okay, you want to introduce the audience? Mary Ann, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'm Mary Ann Barber. I'm outside legal counsel for Bethlehem Landfill.
Donald Noter, resident in Saucon Township, Steel City.
Tom Otter, also a resident of Steel City.
Lynn Hill, resident and controller for the township.
Robert Hill, I'm nobody.
Oh, yes, you are somebody. Okay, who's in the back?
I'm Mark.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm Mark Ozimek. I collect all the evidence.
Oh, okay, Andy? Go ahead. What's your name? Your name.
I said Andy Krasinski, 2430 Apple Photo Road.
Okay. And we have people in the back. I don't know if you want to be addressed.
I'm Anne Marie Crown, and I'm a resident and taxpayer.
Oliver, Bethlehem area reporter with BeHighValleyNews.com.
Okay, and we have our.
Tom Barn, Chief of Police.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think anybody's hiding behind the podium. Okay, so Astor?
Okay, so for MSW for October, we had 21,792 tons. For November, MSW 21,148 tons, and for December, 21,341 tons. C&D.
Is that in our packet? Because I haven't been to a landfill meeting in forever, so.
Yeah, so first page should be.
I have an agenda. I see October, November, and December.
It must be missing a page there.
Oh.
I think her packet is missing that
I
page.
think hers is just missing a page.
I'm missing a page, I guess.
Yeah, you got the one packet with it.
Okay, that's. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry. Could you start all over again now?
Yeah, no, okay, so MSW for October was 21,792 tons. November was 21,148 tons, and for December we had 21,341 tons. C&D in October was 3,096. November 5,574, and then for December we had 3,562.
Astor, can you just just describe what C&D is, just so everybody
C&D
can
waste.
know all the acronyms. There's a lot of acronyms,
Yeah.
so thank you.
No problem. So C&D is just construction and demolition waste.
Okay.
And then residual waste is we took in October was 719 tons. November was 488, and then December we had 1,065 tons. Asbestos in October was 23.53 tons we took in, and in November we took in 52 tons, and then in December we took in 0. For alternative daily cover, we took in 2,237 tons. November 1,003, and December 759. For sewage sludge in October we took in 593 tons. November we took in 721 tons, and in December we took 645 tons, 46. For our out-of-state total waste incoming was 16,454 in October. For November was 16,308 in November, and then for December was 15,843. So recycling for October we had 8 loads, 75% of which were Lower Saucon residents. November we had 7. In December, we had 7, both at 86% of the incoming recycling was from Lower Saucon. All the recycling that we have is picked up by Republic and taken to Green Star Recycling in Northampton County, or Northampton.
How is the recycling dropped off? Or like,
We have a big blue bin over in the corner, so when you come in by the scale, usually you come on the scale, let Dee know that you have recycling, like blue bin recycling, and then she'll direct you over to that corner.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
it's a
just-
big Republic, like 3-yard, or I don't know the sizes of the bins.
Okay, and do we advertise that bin to anybody outside of the township, or is it that's
We're required to
recycled?
put it in the morning call twice a year.
Morning call twice a year, okay.
So,
alright.
which that one should be running for January, should be running, I believe, next week, it'll be in the paper.
Okay, thank you.
So, and then I just wanted to mention too, for like out-of-state waste, those tons are down about 10% from the previous quarter. They're gonna continue to go down. So we purchased Arrowhead Disposal, which has a rail yard in Jersey, but they rail it to Alabama.
Oh, wait, can you say that again, please?
Basically, the New York City waste from my company is gonna start going to Alabama.
Okay, so they won't be out of state to the landfill in Lower Saucon then?
New York City, I mean, about half of it has already started being shipped. They gotta buy more rail cars, but it's gonna start, going to Alabama.
Okay, so we'll see a decrease in out-of-state waste?
Yeah, that number should continue to go down.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you supplementing that with, are you supplementing it from waste from another location?
Probably at some point. I mean, we're, obviously, if we're losing business, we're gonna try to bring in other stuff, but we've been getting more, some of the haulers that we have been winning the municipal contracts, and so we're getting that, like, now we're getting the city of Houston's waste. We
Okay.
get Quaker Towns. I forget all the municipalities we've started taking in, but we have different contracts now with different boroughs and cities local.
So are you trying to prioritize, bringing in waste from, neighboring municipalities?
Yeah, I mean, if there's opportunity to take it, yeah, I mean, we'd like to take it, so. And I think just in general, most of the Northeast, if you look at New England, and then again in New York, a lot of those states are pro-rail. And so a lot of stuff is, I mean, even the train that goes by Still City, that's going to Ohio from Jersey, Bridgewater
Where does it
Township.
originate? I didn't know that.
Bridgewater Township in New Jersey.
Bridgewater,
Yeah.
and then where does it go?
The research I've done, it looks like it goes to Apex Landfill in Ohio.
APEC, how do you spell that?
APEX.
In Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay. Haven't received any odor complaints from people. Like sometimes they'll complain that there's odors coming from the train. I never knew where it started from or ended.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I've never caught it. I know there's one sitting over there now, but it's probably too cold to get anything off of. So, but it's been there since Monday. The one with the yellow
so what do
cars
you
and
mean
the
they
tarp.
sit there? Where do they sit?
If you're driving across from the sewage plant, there's one that's been sitting there for about 4 days now.
Oh, okay, so on the other side of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not by Still City.
Yeah, I don't know where I mean, I've seen comments from people that they park, there, but I've only ever seen them stop right there.
Right, so there's different tracks, so they could be off to the side on the track. Are they covered? I don't.
Yeah, this one's tarped.
It's tarped, okay.
Yeah, I have seen them when I'm doing order patrols on Riverside. They're coming and they'll be wide open. So.
And we don't know what the regulations are on that.
I don't. Yeah. And unfortunately, fortunately, we don't have anything to do with that.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
I didn't thought
No, I
maybe
just
we
mean
were-
like my company doesn't own those
Yep,
cars.
yep, I get it.
Just so I'm clear, they typically sit near the wastewater treatment plant on a side track?
Well, they are right now. Yeah.
Okay. How many, do we know how many you see? Is it just like one rail car, or how many rail cars we see there?
Oh, if you drive by, you'll see it. They're like double stacked. Did you see it today? The LC trains, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So form use submittals, we had Mauser, let me say State or Street LLC, which was asbestos containing waste. That approval date was October 16th, 2023. Riverhead Town, which is sewage sludge, 10/18/2023. Simon's Animal Nutrition, or Simmons, excuse me. Plant trash, that was approved 11/22/23. Form use submittal from Asai Energy LLC, which was a spent activated carbon. That was approved 11/29/2023. Hydac International plant trash was approved 12/18/2023. And then LVI Airport, contaminated soil, waste petroleum was approved 12/19/2023. Marbo Incorporated, which was asbestos-containing waste, was approved 12/19/2023. And then Devon Self-Storage, coal-derived bottom ash was approved 12/26/2023. For the groundwater trend analysis, the fourth quarter groundwater sampling event was November 13th through 11/17/2023.
And when will the trend be finalized?
Miser and Earl's working on that now. So we did just submit, I believe the email went out and I saw Mark was on it for, was January 2nd is when the Q3 was submitted.
Okay, and do we routinely get a copy of that?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, anytime that's submitted, anything that goes to the DP, you guys are usually CC'd on.
When do you think we'll expect a copy of that trend?
I can find out and
Okay.
we'll give you an answer back. Cause I
Okay.
don't have it, because it's up, I mean, it's on Miser No has it, Todd Lowry's the one working on it. So.
Right.
Esther, can you just give a explanation, or maybe the engineer can, somebody describe what a sampling event is and what it involves?
So, I mean, from my understanding of the way to explain it is, so any kind of quarterly event, like this particular one with the groundwater, we have groundwater wells around the site and up gradient and down gradient. So, you know, as the water flows through, you know, up gradients before it gets there and down is afterwards. And so basically we test what the water is like before it hits the landfill and what it's like after. And then they, you know, again, to Priscilla's, you know, point the trend. So we look for trends to see if there's anything increasing, to see if, you know, as it passes underneath the landfill, if anything is showing up new that wasn't in it before it flowed underneath.
So that's something we can use to determine how the liner systems are operating and
Correct, yeah.
what's
That's
coming in, what's, if there is anything, hopefully not, that would get
correct, yeah. I mean,
through.
that's the whole point is for the testing is just to, you know, be able to detect if there is any issues or if anything's coming up that shouldn't be there.
Okay. And then that groundwater, just so we know, where does that ultimately dispense? Does that go into one of your retention ponds, or is that going into like one
Well,
of the
those are,
drainage
the
screens?
groundwater would be, that's all the stuff in like the aquifers underneath,
Okay,
so.
Or
okay.
just drink a well?
So
down?
we're not talking about runoff, sorry. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
thinking
yeah.
my
No,
mind
no,
runoff,
yeah,
but
no, it's not
no,
still
yeah,
going.
you're right, because it's underneath, so,
Yeah, yeah. No,
thank
you're
you.
fine. Yeah, no problem.
And also then, are you still doing analysis for the abatement system? I know you were,
Yes.
last time I was with the committee, you were kind of at the end of it because it was pretty much cleaning it up.
Yeah, no, we still use all our abatement wells and we still do the sampling for that. So we still have the abatement plan and the groundwater, and then that is included in the groundwater sample.
Right, so is that gonna be ongoing forever, the abatement system, or is there eventually an end to that?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can try to get an answer to that.
I didn't know if after everything was cleaned up that they would stop pumping. Like, how many wells are there now? 12, 13?
Yeah.
How many?
13, I believe.
God, my memory's being, oh my goodness.
So, but I mean, I can try to find an answer for you to see.
Okay, I was just curious, because, you know,
Yeah, I've never had a conversation with anybody about it ending, but that doesn't mean that it's not
Okay.
going to.
There aren't any current plans at all to stop the abatement system.
Okay.
It will be up and running for the
keep
foreseeable
going,
future.
even though the wells come back clean, or they're not coming back.
I just know there are no plans to get rid of that
Okay.
abatement system, and it will be up and running for
Okay.
the foreseeable future. And it's required by DEP.
Right, okay, great, thanks.
And yeah. So.
The abatement wells go into the leachate collection system?
This basically water that is pumped up from the groundwater that goes into to prevent any contamination of the groundwater aquifer. So it prevents water from going into the groundwater aquifer by pumping it out into the leachate system.
Okay.
So it actually flows to the wastewater treatment plant with our leachate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. So landfill operations for the inspections. On 10/18, we had Matt Vipon, which is part of the Department of Environmental Protection Inspections or Protection Agency. So Matt Vipon is enforcement, solid waste enforcement. And then 10/18, we had Matt Gagowski, who is the engineering inspector. So 10/19, Matt Vipon was out again for records check. On 11/16, we had Matt Vipon out. 11/29, Matt Gagowski. 12/20, Matt Gagowski, and then 12/28, Matt Vipon for the DP inspections.
Okay, were there any negative comments in any of these reports?
I meant to go back and review them. I believe in November, I think it's November. Again, I have to look, but I believe they did, like the surface emissions, and we had some hits on the southeastern corner there. So,
All the reports, copies of all the reports are provided to the township, correct?
correct, yeah.
All right, I'm just asking so they're a part of his minutes. I may
Right.
know the answers to some of these questions, but I'd like them part of the minutes.
Okay. And then, so usually November, December, we have annual inspections from the wastewater treatment plants. So on November 6th, we had Kenneth Greiser out from the city of Bethlehem for his inspection. And then December 1st, we had Brogan out for Lehigh County Authority at Allentown wastewater treatment plant. So all of our leachate goes to the city of Bethlehem, but then we're required to have a backup in case we have an issue with our first source, which is the city of Bethlehem. So that's why we get an inspection from Lehigh County Authority. Host municipal inspections, 10-5 with Scott Brown, 10-19, Scott Brown was out. November 2nd, Scott Brown was out, and then 11-16, is it Jacob? Jake Shrey was out, and then 12-7, Scott Brown, and then 12-19, Scott Brown.
Any comments, Scott, on any of these inspections?
Nothing outstanding. They made the repairs and were kept up with, we had a lot of storms.
Right.
Kind of kept up. We did keep up with that.
Yeah, oh, press the green, push it. There you go.
Thank you. No, they kept up with all the routine maintenance from the storms. That was the biggest thing. North Slope Road, that's in good shape. That was fixed back up, so everybody can get around the landfill. So, you know, other than the odors that we detect in the southeast corner, I mean, that's been noted for, you know, past couple months.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I just had a couple questions about that southeast corner, but I'm happy to like finish the rest of the report and then we can maybe go back to that. I don't know. Do you want to, can we address them now? Or
It's fine, whatever.
Okay, so the southeast corner, do we know what is the cause of the landfill gas that seems to be persistent in that spot?
So just looking at everything and what we've been dealing with is with a lot of the storms that we had, there's a lot of moisture in that section as we built up. And the moisture, you know, expedites the process of the decomposition, which creates the methane. So I think really just from what we're looking at, we just saw an increased, you know, volume of gas in a new cell. Normally on new waste, it takes time for the gas to develop, you know, to become, you know, where you can actually drill wells and pump it out of there.
Okay.
Again, with the moisture and just, you know, there's a lot of different variables that play into it, but it just seems to have expedited the amount of gas that is being created. And it's, you know, obviously created the situation on the southeast corner.
Is there a discussion about potentially putting in more gas wells in that location to capture it?
Yeah, so the first time we started noticing orders on that corner, we actually connected to the leachate cleanout.
Okay.
To try to pump gas from there. That worked for a very temporary amount of time. And then we worked with Archaea, which the plan is not online yet, but they came in and they installed 3 horizontal wells over in that area, which helped, again, temporarily. And then over time, again, the odor started to come back. We've been working with Archaea, just trying to get more gas pumped out of there. We went and we added more soil, put down erosion matting to help try to stop the rills. That helped a little bit, but again, not enough, obviously. And then actually, right now, we're in the process of just capping it. So the wind defender actually showed up on site today to cap it.
So they're just and that was an active disposal site, or?
Yeah, that's what we're filling right now. So we're going to cap it, and the only reason why there was discussion with Archaea because we want to put vertical wells there now, but with winter, it's a bad time to take a drill rig on the side slope. So we're going to cap it, and then hopefully in spring, we're going to add vertical wells to try to pump more gas out of it. But at least in the meantime, the gas itself will be capped. We do have some wells there to extract that gas out.
Okay. Is there the ability to check if the gas is coming from a spot that's outside of the containment wells that you have, or the extraction wells, if I'm calling them the right thing.
I'm not sure if I understand your question. Like
Okay.
for, like within the landfill or outside of the landfill?
I'm envisioning, well, this is my thought process. So it seems like you tried to increase the extraction with the wells you had, right? And then you said you put in 3 horizontal wells with the new gas to energy plant, and that helped. And then you also did some grading, but you said it came back, like it helped it for a little bit and came
It's
back.
generating faster than we can get it out of there at this point.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's generating
not
from the
enough.
same, I guess my thought was that maybe it was generating from some spot outside of where you had the wells, but.
No, it's, the generation rate is high from within we're filling right now, which again, like normally when you build a new cell, you have a couple years time before you install wells, but
Okay.
in this particular area right now, the generation rate is, which goes back to moisture.
Okay.
Usually like any kind of moisture will help, it helps with decomposition, right? So, we had some of those weird rainstorms, so there's a lot of water probably got in that cell. Our leachate numbers have been up. So that's just what's causing that methane.
And I think you said in the spring you're hopeful to drill some more vertical wells?
Correct. Yeah, once we get the snow out and the ground's not frozen, yeah, we're coming in. We've already talked to Archaea. Even though the plant's not up yet, we've been having monthly gas calls with them to look at all the numbers and everything, because they're managing the well field right now. And then also to make sure that they're doing the best to pull out of there. Right now, that is a priority spot. Because then, we make it aware to them that we have odors and we need them to pull that out.
Okay.
So, we're working together to fix that, ASAP. And, again, the wind defender, we're looking to cap all that right away. And then by spring, put those vertical wells in. Should make a huge difference.
Okay. I think I saw that there was a question about the misters or something to try to, I don't know what the right word would be, to cover up the odor. Yeah. Is there a way to add any more misters in that area or anything to help with the odor from shifting off site?
Yeah, so we have the portable misting system over there. So with the misting system, like with the way the weather is right now, we can't run it because the water will freeze. But we did buy a vapor system, which is built for winter. So we do have that running. I have asked them to turn it up. We have been using more of the odor neutralizer. So yeah, we're using that as well.
Okay, yeah, I thought there was something, I remember last year where you had the traditional misters, but then there was this other thing that could be used year round.
Right, yeah, so we purchased that, and that's on the fence line above the MSC wall. We have that connected and it is running all the time, 24/7.
Is there a potential to get more of that to cover more area?
We have the money in there for that this year to add more, to extend it further.
Okay, is there a potential timeline that you guys were thinking about getting more of that?
I haven't talked to Theo yet, but again, for the southeast corner, we have it all around there. I mean, really what we had in there was for when we moved to the northern realignment.
Okay.
So.
But you're keeping it at the southeast corner right now?
Yeah, because that's where the problem
is. So the future,
at.
You're saying the future stuff you're buying or you're looking to buy is for the northern realignment?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any way to put any more at the southeast corner or no?
Yeah, we can. So I can get with Theo. I mean, we did put the money in there to have more, so we can look at doing that.
Okay. Yeah, I think just because it seems to be.
But the capping will help.
The capping, okay.
Help control it, so you don't have to take care of it.
That's the
after
best
fact.
choice.
That's
Yeah,
the best
yeah, that's the
option
best
is
choice. The capping, right?
And just from when I first arrived here, the odor issues that I saw on site on the other side of the landfill, once we did the capping, they eliminated it. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sorry, what was, you said it, I just need to remember, the capping timeline right now is what?
We're doing it right now.
They're doing it, and how many
Well,
days?
not obviously right now today, just to be clear, because of the snow, but once the snow melts,
Staging material.
Oh,
right?
yeah. So
So-
they
so
started,
it's-
and then obviously it snowed, and so things are paused right now, but all the material is coming on site. Everybody's working on it. We already have the liner crew lined up, so.
And another storm is coming.
Yeah, one on
Yes.
Friday.
Clarify for me what you refer to as capping.
So it's like basically what they'll do is they'll put like a 60 mil liner over the top of the side slopes of the landfill.
Okay.
And then the wind defender, which I mentioned, is something they put over so that way when the wind blows, it doesn't flop and then rip or tear or cause other issues.
Okay, thank you.
So it's kind of, the wind defender is kind of like what you'd see at a tennis court on the side fences, but it goes over the top of the liner and weigh it down.
Since we're talking about the gas destruction, may I speak?
Sure.
I could get up too if that's all right. Let's try the handy handout. Okay. Donna Louder, it sounds to me like this is all a Band-Aid. I know that there was talk about the gas destruction company that was coming in. Am I correct by saying it was the BP company?
It is now, yes.
Okay, where do they stand with coming in to make sure that this problem gets eliminated instead of constant Band-Aids?
Yeah, well, the temp cap is not really a Band-Aid. That is part of the fix. I mean, included with that. So they're supposed to be online in February. I did ask them to be here today because I wanted them to talk to everybody here about why they're not online yet. And of course, the two guys ended up with the flu, which is going around, so who knows? But yeah, they're looking, the last email we got was there to be online February.
Okay,
Early
so
February.
everybody's on board with this and all the issues have been cleared up with getting them on site?
From the emails that I have, they're supposed to start February. I can't speak for
Okay,
them, but
thank you.
from what they're relaying to me, they're supposed to start February. And they're very aware of the issue and the pressure of that it needs to be fixed and, working with us. And so far, they have been good with the communication and understanding that we have a problem, so.
I know winter's a challenging time for the landfill. I also know spring is gonna be a challenging time as well. So the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Yep, all right.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Commercial waste vehicles, so for October, total trucks, we had 2,025.20. For November, we had 2,479, and for December, we had 2,333. Overweights, in October, we had 74 with 59 warnings, 15 suspensions. November, we had 75 overweights with 66 warnings, 9 suspensions. And then for December, we had 76 overweights with 56 warnings and 20 suspensions. And I didn't put it in here, but for people parking on the ramp coming off or coming early, we gave out 21 warnings and 6 suspensions for that, because we're trying to police that as well.
So your policy that was in place when I was here a couple of years ago is still in place?
Correct. But we're trying to
Appreciate
make more
that.
of an effort of policing it and making
Right.
sure that we're catching the guys when they come off.
Right, it's unfortunate we still see the high numbers, but you are trying,
Yeah, so.
right?
What is a warning and what is a suspension?
So, a warning is just that, it's a warning, their name ends up on a list, and then after the second warning, they get 1-day suspension. And then, but if they come in for, like, say it's their first overweight, but they're 3% over, it's automatic 3-day suspension.
And it's the driver, not the company, or is it the company?
Well, it's the driver, truck, and trailer.
Where are they coming from?
Mostly the transfer stations. That's a high part of it, is the transfer stations. So, and that's all of them. That's ours, East Penn's,
Is it possible for you to keep track of the company that or the transfer station they're coming from? I know you asked that question because maybe in the future, one of the things that we can try to do is send letters to the transfer stations and, indicate, we have this data that the people coming from this transfer station seem to be, if there is a trend. I don't even know if there's a trend,
Right.
so I want to put that out. I'm not insinuating that. I'm just
Right.
trying to figure out some creative ways we could try to help decrease that. Is that an option, you think, or you have to look into it?
Yeah, we do know where the waste is coming from, so we do have the names of the transfer stations. And then we have the name of the companies too that they generally haul for. So, there's different ways people go about it. I know too that, we also own Brad's Landfill, and up there, we have similar rules, but then we also send a list to the township, and the township themselves actually find the drivers.
We do have a list somewhere. I do remember seeing, I don't know how often we get it, but they do compile a
I
list.
think once a month, at the end of
it?
the month, he will send it out, and I believe you
Okay,
guys are
all right,
CC'd
so
on it.
you will be getting
Yeah,
that.
but I know, Blythe Township will send out fines to those drivers from the township.
Which township?
Blythe Township, up near, Pottsville.
So they send out fines.
Yeah, to the drivers, yeah.
I wonder how they do that with like
Yeah, that was in place, Blythe Township,
BL.
YTHE,
And they fine them.
yeah. So, yeah, we'll send them the list, and then they actually fine them
Okay.
for coming in
We're not
overweight.
doing that, so that might be something to look
Right.
into.
So, and I mean, that's something that the township takes care of, they send those fines
Great.
out.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Just one other question. Is there any, potential or thought to develop a different kind of, penalty system? Like you have the 3-day suspension. Is there any other thought to a different one that might be more, what's the right word I'm looking for? Deterrent than if the 3-day suspension.
I'd say for like most of our regular customers, or like drivers that come in, if they do have one, it's usually just like the one. Cause sometimes too, like there'll be like, there's times where they'll come in, or maybe even, when did it snow last Tuesday? It was a good, at some point we closed early, cause it was just, nobody was coming in, and so that trailer gets parked and then it gets snow on it, and they come in next day, they're overweight, and they still get warned or suspended. So sometimes it's just not say out of their control, but it's weather related. A lot of our overweights, a lot of times coming from event jobs where we actually share the rules. We still have, the books and the rules that we hand out. But then they get the drivers that come in and they're new, and then they're overweight. And then, we just had that happen, was it last week, where we had a new customer, and like every truck that came in was overweight, and we had to suspend them right when they started the job, because they were, that overweight. So a lot of them is just new ones, and then they learn.
Do you have like a lot of education that goes on here
Yeah.
with them?
And doesn't DEP come in and look at your books too? And they sometimes will pull people out and write them up?
Yeah, it's
They do
been a
that?
while, but I do believe they came out during the summer. I've talked to people about that before to try to get them out more. I know, again, at other sites, they go there more frequently. But yeah, very few times I've seen the state come out and sit.
So it would be the state, not DEP? that would
Yeah, it's
be-
usually the state police that come out.
Right.
As far as the amount of the fine, is that, you told me this once before and I forget, so I
Yes, okay.
apologize. Who sets the rate of the fine?
This is the township.
The township sets
Yeah,
the
up
rate?
there, yeah, at Blythe Township, it's their fine system that they have.
Oh, okay. I'm not talking about that.
Oh.
I'm talking about your, like, where you give them a warning, or
Oh.
that's just a suspension where they can't come. I thought there was like a separate fine.
Yeah, no, we don't have a fine system.
don't
We
have a
just,
fine
yeah, we
system.
basically, a lot of these guys, that's their job is to come in, so if they're suspended, then they're not working, so that's a hit to their wallet also.
And I think you said that usually it's not like you have somebody coming multiple times, the same person.
It's rare. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but it's usually rare, especially the guys that get like the 3 days, because again, there's 3 days they're not working, because usually when that happens too, then they come and they're begging me to come back in, but we stick to it, and then, so when they come back, they follow the rule.
Okay.
Which is also why we started suspending both the truck and trailer, because we would have guys that would come and try to swap, and so it was like, we just
Okay.
suspend the whole unit.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for the information on Blythe,
Yeah, no problem.
so.
For the flare operation, so the landfill gas flare is the main GCS gas collection system where the Bethlehem landfill contains or continues to use. Then for October, the average flare flow was 3,458 SCFM, which is standard cubic foot per minute. So for shutdowns, we had, which in the SSM stands for startup and shutdown. So we had one on 10/31 from 1/12 to 4/12. The flare manually shut down for condensate sump maintenance. Flare downtime for October is 3 hours out of 744 runtime hours. November average flare flow was 3,280 SCFM. The downtimes for the flare in November was November 14th, 23, which was 9:25 a.m. to 10:25. The flare was down for programmable logic control, troubleshooting and maintenance, which is basically the computer that runs the flare. And then 11:28 from 1:09 to 2:39 p.m. The flare was manually shut down for gas line construction. Total downtime for the flare in November was 2 hours 39 minutes out of 724 total run hours. December average flare flow 3,393 SCFM. Downtime 12/13/23 from 8:17 to 10:40. The flare was manually shut down for a flare arrestor cleaning and replacement. Total downtime of the flare was 2 hours and 23 minutes out of 744 total runtime hours. So for the North Slope Road, during Q4, there's no, no repairs are needed. The swell does not need repairs. The abatement system continues to operate and discharge to the City of Bethlehem wastewater treatment plant. For the leachate collection, leachate management chamber has an increased flow this quarter due to construction of the to the north of LMC 7 drainage area.
Do you have an update on the Forever Chemicals testing and?
Yeah, for the stuff, Marianne actually had a response for that one.
Yeah, so we have a pilot program. It's in its very early stages. And so we're in the process of compiling data and, nothing really more to report. It's purely voluntary. The company's taking a very proactive approach with respect to addressing the PFAS situation.
Would you be open to sharing your data with the township?
Not at this point. We are in the very early stages of the program. We don't have a robust data set.
Okay. How are they collecting water at this time?
The pilot program, as far as I know, is up and running, but I don't have an up-to-date as of, today or this week or even since the beginning of the year where they are with respect to the program.
So just to clarify on that, so we did the pilot, and they had their tests before, tests after. So right now it's being constructed. So there is no water running through it right now because the plant itself is being constructed at the old BRE facility, the Bethlehem Renewable Energy Facility, just to clarify what Marianne was saying. So, and then also too, with that facility, we had to submit a minor mod to the state for the DEP. So we're waiting for that back from them as well, before that can actually get up and start running proper.
Okay. So is it, and this is just because I'm trying to picture the engineering of what it looks like, how it works. So the water comes into it and you're testing that, and then the water is coming out and you're testing that to see if there's a difference?
Correct, yeah, when we did the pilot, that's what we did. So you test it before and test it after.
Okay. And they're still in that testing phase, or they're constructing
we did
now?
that before, and then it worked during the pilot the way that they said it would. And so now we're building a full-blown facility.
Okay. Can I ask if they must have found PFAS if they're constructing?
We have data from the pilot program.
Oh.
We're not providing the results of the data from the pilot program.
Okay.
We are constructing the process. We're getting the approval from DEP. The system will then get up and running, and then the reports from that system will be reported. The results from that system will be reported.
Once it's constructed?
Yes, and I don't know what the time frame is vis-a-vis DEP in terms of providing that data. So again, we're in the very early stages of this. So we're compiling the information.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Aster, these leachate management chambers, I guess if we're looking at LNC 7, if I'm looking at the box that your landfill is, can you kind of show me where about that it would be?
LMC 7, if I remember, so it would be on the, south, not all the way east side, but southeastern side.
Yeah, box. Sorry, thank you.
As our landfill, right, it would be, in this general area.
Oh, you gonna pull it out?
I don't know. I'm sure if this shows it out.
Southeastern side, coming out.
Okay, and then, on the other page, I'm sorry. Okay, so that would be the 7, right?
Correct.
All right. And then, so it has an increase of flow due to the construction of the north element. So what does that mean?
Just there's construction in preparation for the northern realignment.
Okay, northern realignment.
That, it opened up, so it basically created an avenue for more water to get into that.
Okay, understand. Okay, and then the next page, leachate management, where's, I'm sorry, I don't remember where 8
T
is.
is just to the right of that, so. Probably the LMC is maybe a little more right than it should be, but LMC will just be next to it. And then you have 10, right, and then 10 is the last one where it flows out. You have the 7, 8, 9 is right at the slope next to where the tank is at, and then 10 is right there, which, where all the leachate, gravity flows out to go to the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay,
Yeah, so,
thank you.
because as it comes down, right, it funnels to one spot and then leaves through LMC 10.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Radiation monitoring, there were 5 radioactive loads from October to December of 2023. On October 23rd, 23, load was identified as gallium-67. And the load was disposed of on site. 10/23, a load was identified as iodine-131. The load was disposed of on site. 12/4/23, the load was identified as iodine-131, disposed of on site. 12/8/23, a load was identified of technetium, was it? I don't even know how to say it. Was it technetium 99? What is it? Technetium 99, and a load was disposed of on site. And then on 12/23, a load was identified as technetium 99, and the load was disposed of on site. And all those loads were reported to PADEP.
Okay. There's a lot of people, residents, that ask me questions about why are we accepting these? And it would be nice for you to just explain that it's the incoming.
Yeah.
And the regulations that control that. Would you please state on the record, please?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's, basically the way that they have it set up is there's certain isotopes, radioisotopes that are approved to come in. So they have to have a half-life, I believe, less of 65 days or less. And then, they're being transported with household waste. And most of them, pretty much the whole list is good, medical type waste. Stuff used for different medical procedures, whatnot. That would be coming from somebody who would be happening to go through in a procedure. So, I mean, that's basically the reg on that is, again, the half-life has to be 65 days or less and has to meet that criteria of being basically like a medical treatment type isotope. There's a predetermined list.
Are you saying shelf life or half-life?
Half-life.
Half-life
Yeah.
of 65 days, so then the full life of the radioactivity would be 130 days?
I don't know how that
It
works.
keeps reducing every,
I would recommend, DEP has a guidance document. I can give you the guidance document number. It's guidance document on radioactivity monitoring, solid waste processing and disposal facilities. So this gives all the detail.
Email to the township manager so he can share it with,
I can give you the document number and the guidance.
so you won't email it to us?
Well, it's on the DEP website, so that's where you can get it. Mark, I can just give you the information afterwards.
Maybe the link, is there a link?
Yeah, the DEP website is tricky, so let me see what I can do. And I can just, after this is over, I can go back to your office and we can pull it up.
Okay,
Great.
yeah, that would be helpful, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I know when I found it too, I just Googled it and put DEP and that in there and it came right up.
Right.
And so pursuant to the regulations, and you'll see in this guidance document that the facilities are required to have a radiation action plan.
Right, I'm familiar.
Which the site has, yep,
wanted
so-
to share it with everyone.
Yeah, so that's
Right.
a good document for people to read to understand what the process is.
So then when the load comes in, you have to keep it on site for so many days then?
So we go through and to the point of the action plan, so it comes in, the alarm sets off, person that scales notified, so she'll let Cody know generally, and then it's relayed out, somebody comes, runs the sample, we see the isotope, and it depends on what the isotope is. As long as it's one of these and it meets all the criterion, then yeah, it'll be disposed of and we report it to the DEP.
Right.
If it's not on one of the ones that we're used to seeing that we know is on the list of approved isotopes, then we reach out to the state, our health physicist that we use, and the states, and then we work together to figure out what the isotope is, what the situation is, and then there's options. The trailer itself could either be held on site, depending on the half-life of the material, and or we can go to PennDOT and get an emergency, I forget the actual name of the slip, but they would be given basically permission to go back on the road to wherever they need to go, the correct dumping facility or
Well,
disposal
this is
facility.
important information for new people and people that may not be aware of it, so that's why I appreciate you,
Yeah,
you know, telling us about it.
yeah, so that, yeah, that's the procedure in our plan, so.
And just so, like, the 65-day, the idea is that it would lose its radioactivity after 65 days?
Yeah, with the half-life, so
Direction.
and I don't know all the science behind it, I didn't study that before, you know, very high level, probably in high school, but yeah, I mean, that would be, as it goes down, the radioactivity, you know, yeah, it diminishes over time, and obviously some last longer forever, and then some are, you know, again, like with the medical ones, they go by quick, that's why we're allowed to dispose of it.
That's really helpful, thank you.
So current waste activities are in the southeastern realignment, 2AB, phase 1 and 2. And then the odor complaints are on the end page, and then all the numbers for the LMCs and abatement wells are in the back.
Are there any irregularities in the abatement wells, like any, for the demand flows? Do you see anything?
No, I haven't seen anything, you know, I didn't get any alerts from Todd after the Q3. He's working on Q4 right now.
So for the benefit of new people, your leachate demand report, do you want to just give a brief explanation of these reports?
Yeah, I mean, the way you know, Cody generally deals with these. Unfortunately, he had an engineering meeting in Charleston. No, it's okay. It just a bunch of things lined up today. So I actually had a division meeting today that I skipped to do this. So yeah, Cody normally does that, but generally these are just the water levels. So even as you see when they do the groundwater, they'll usually do the water level before they sample, just to see where it's at, to see if it's healthy, you know, if the level's high or low, if it's dry. And then a lot of these reports just break that down to where, again, the water level, the flow that we're seeing. Again, we look to see if there's an increase in flow, decrease in flow. Again, you know, Cody will be able to describe it better or explain it better, but that's the level that I know with these.
Have they found any increase in flow with the heavy rain events we had? Or is it too soon for it to show up in these, or?
Our leachate alone has jumped up from November to December was, I believe, when I saw it earlier, like we had about 800,000 gallons roughly in November. And then for leachate in December, we're at 2 million gallons. So,
800,000 to 2 million, sorry. Okay.
you know, again, I saw on the news that this is the wettest December in the history of Lehigh Valley. So, you know, I guess it correlates. So.
Okay. Is that, sorry, go ahead, Priscilla. Oh, have you seen an increase in the places, I mean, I would assume the water would penetrate the open cell. Have you seen an increase in any of the closed cells?
I mean, no, not in the ones that are capped, no.
Okay.
I mean, that's why LMC 7, LMC 8 still have avenues to it where they're closed in, and that's where the LMC 7 saw the increase because of where the construction is. It was connected into phase 3, which was going into LMC 7, which is part of that construction. So when they did that, but that would be the only reason why, is because then we opened it up as part of, you know, prepping.
All right, so the capped areas, the flow hasn't increased.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, just because, I mean, the water's hitting that cap, and then that's stormwater, it's gonna stay on top.
That's what I was hoping to hear.
Yeah.
So.
Is there any way that you can like put a graph together and like put these all on one page so that we can like kind of see like the 3-month comparison?
Yeah, it was something we could probably do.
I mean, that would, I think would be with technology, I would think that would be very helpful. That way we'd have, you know, a look, you know, to look at it on one page.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
I can see, I'm sure Excel
Okay.
With the increase in leachate, is there a possibility, or how much can you handle it going through? Does it overwhelm the system? Does it overwhelm the treatment plant?
They have mentioned before, like when we get those, like when we had was it the tropical storm, whatever it was, Isaiah, SER or whatever.
Yeah,
They, I know
whatever the names were.
they complained then because it was just a deluge. I mean, it makes it difficult for them, but it didn't cause like any major issues. So they have, with the new permit, I mean, they have asked us, which is one of the reasons why we're refurbing that tank that's in the front. They have asked us to use the tank to meter it over. Because otherwise it just gravity flows over, it comes in and it goes.
Yeah.
So they just
Does it
want us to be able to
overwhelm,
meter
like, I don't know,
them.
how big your pipes are? Does it overwhelm your system and get backed up? Or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it just comes in and then they get more than what they're used to seeing on a normal day. Going back to the metering it over.
So is your intent to then, use that leachate storage area for heavy rain events or
All the time.
all the time? Okay.
So as it's being constructed, you know, the leachate will just go there first and then get metered out through there. Right.
Okay, I sort of like remember that there was one constructed, but we weren't using it. It was just.
It's
like
basically like a backup
permit,
plan, yeah.
But now you're gonna put stuff in there?
Yeah, the wastewater treatment plant has asked us to use it to be able to meter it over, so they get a steady flow all the time, no matter the increase in
Okay.
the storm.
Okay,
Because again, right now, it just goes in and goes out.
okay.
So when it's dry, it's just a normal flow, but then if we do get a big storm, it, you know.
Do you know the status of the, if I can remember the terminology for it, the permit from the city of Bethlehem on, I think it was like due in August, and I think the city had said they were like negotiating with you, but the old permit was like standing as active until they continued that negotiation?
Yeah, it's my understanding that, I mean, last Cody talked to them, we've touched base with them, you know, they're still working on issuing it.
And it's not there's no negotiation, like we
Yeah.
filed for the permit renewal, and I mean, I don't wanna put words in their mouth, but I think with this whole issue of PFAS, that they're looking perhaps to, as they're getting permit renewals for any of their industrial waste dischargers, they might be thinking about a new program, which they would have to implement across all of their permittees. So what they've told us is that our permit is still in place, that we're operating under that permit. And I suspect that now with the beginning of 2024, that they'll probably start issuing all the permit renewals, and we may see some changes in some of the parameters, you know, that we need to comply with. I don't know, but there's no negotiation, there are no issues associated with it. We're just,
Okay.
you know, that's what the communication from them has been to us.
Thank you, you said it, industrial waste permit. So that's the permit the city of Bethlehem had issued to you. It was like a 5-year permit, right? So it was up in.
I think they get renewed every 5 years, and it's for any industrial waste discharger.
Right.
So I mean, I
They
think
had like
there's over
59 or
60
something.
or 70 permits that they issue, yes.
Okay, so your guys are still operating under the last issued permit until they issue you the new one?
Correct,
And you're still waiting on this, whatever standards that they implement for the new one?
correct.
Okay, thank you. I think that's good.
Okay, we got these charts.
Yeah, so these are just the flows, I mean, the last couple pages, those are the flows from, you know, the different cells as they come through.
So what I remember is there was a high number, and I can't remember what that number was. If that number was a certain amount, there was an issue.
Again, out of the top of my head, that's Cody's.
I'm sorry?
That's Cody's wheelhouse, so,
Okay.
you know,
Cody, where are you?
yeah, I know. Yeah, he's in Charleston right now. So, but I mean, I know, again, Cody's the one that puts these all together and
Do
understands
you
all that stuff.
remember on the charts what the numbers were?
Oh, we don't have those charts.
I don't think that there was a specific number of being a critical number. It was just the fact that it was elevated more than the other ones.
I don't know if I want to say 500. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think it's
service submissions.
More of these meetings than I do.
That had to max out. They would be red flags.
The surface monitoring.
Yeah.
As far as the flow for this, there was never really anything that threw a red flag up. Basically,
Yeah.
it was
there was no critical mass type of thing that it was over 10,000, it's gonna be a
Change,
problem.
to Scott's
Yeah.
point, I think it was more of a change, and to Donna's point, yeah, that's the surface emission monitoring is 500 ppm is the,
I kind of remember drawing circles on these maps, but anyway, the next quarter, Cody should be here, so.
yeah, it should be here.
I don't mean maps, I mean charts, sorry, used the wrong word. So then basically, what are these showing us?
So you have your primary and then your secondary. Secondary is, you know, the fail-safe from the liner. So is my understanding again, so, again, it's, Cody's usually the one that talks to these. So, looks at them, but I mean, there's all the pump houses that we have, phase 4, LMC 6, 7, 8.
Okay, now the odor complaint log, I think we just got one new one. Does it include this?
But we had already put this together by the time they sent the one for the January's info on it.
So this is 2020,
This is the whole year of 2023.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to all the pages. So I know the last.
Up to just, 12/26.
So I know for the month of January, we did get a lot of complaints. I think the area is widening, like, you know, we're now getting people from I-78, 33,
Yeah, and
different
that-
areas of the township complaining.
Yeah, and that was what, I mean, for me, just my personal experience, that's what sparked just telling basically the company, like, I gotta cap this.
That what?
That I needed to cap that corner.
That corner.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Because
we're hoping that that's gonna work.
Yeah, you know,
That's where it's come from. I mean, it's blatantly
Right,
obvious.
and depending on how the wind's blowing.
Well, and that's,
areas.
who smells it, but that's where it's,
I mean, you're
point
on
of
site, you
origination
go
is
there, that's it. So,
Okay, well, are we gonna talk about the storm that happened, or is that, like, with the waterfall on Riverside Drive, are we gonna talk about any of that?
Ken?
yeah,
I mean, Astor and I went down, saw where the video was taken.
Right,
And that's coming down from below the MSC wall that's just to the west of the maintenance garage. So all that flow's heading down there. There's very little landfill area, active area, next to nothing that actually flows down that way.
from above.
From above. In fact, pre the MSC wall, we ran some quick calculations. There's about 11 acres that when they built the MSC wall, 11 acres of stormwater that used to flow to the north now flows to the south. So they've actually decreased what could be down there. And then below that MSC wall is the old Sea of Bethlehem, what they call Woodfill area, which was never to be disturbed.
Right.
And then below that, again, it's just very steep, large drainage area to go to. So I didn't really see anything, the stormwater that does go down from just north of the MSC wall and the maintenance garage, there's a small sediment pond there that it'll go through, and then a channel, but that's been there pretty much as long as that wall's been there, and the maintenance garage has been there. So I don't see anything how that the landfill would have contributed is causing a problem that Mother Nature. That's just I don't see what the landfill could do to alter that. I mean, with some of the new the northern realignment also is going to help. There's a lot of that stormwater where that's going is going to be heading south. So again, that's a much bigger area that's going to be shifting. So that'll again help, not necessarily at that point, but the other point where the low point where it goes, the railroad tracks are affected sometimes. The water comes out. That'll help decrease some of the water that goes down the mountain that way.
I always worry about the north road washing out when we get rains like that. And then
Right.
you can't access your wells.
Right.
Where you're said in this
well, that's-
report that that's okay.
Yeah, that
Oh,
whole
yeah,
road
that-
is,
Yeah,
that's
the
good.
north road has been in good shape. I mean, the fence was fixed and the trees from
Right.
that other storm, that's all cleaned up and they're all very accessible. That's not
Okay.
a problem.
Just for my benefit, the MSC wall that you're talking about, is there, do you collect the runoff from the MSC wall?
Yeah, so as the slope, I mean, on picture, I mean, again, that, I don't know if we went over the tour, but where they have the MSC wall, then the slopes above it, the stormwater hits, and there's a drain that takes the water around. So that stormwater's collected and taken back to the front to, basin 6 or basin 4,
Okay.
in the front of the landfill, south side to Scott's.
And that was working okay
Yeah.
for the, at the areas that you looked at for this, like, most recent?
Yeah, no, that water is still all going to the south.
Okay.
Like it's designed to.
Okay, so the MSC wall and the drainage from the MSC
Yeah,
wall
that's,
was going,
that's
okay.
fine, yeah.
And just for that too, I mean, I walked out with Scott, I walked it with Matt Vipon from the DP and another guy that was there, I don't remember his name, and then I walked it, we walked it with Matt Gagowski from the DP. So we've done 3 separate inspections of it since that video, and everybody's come up with pretty much the same.
Okay, what about the water area by Ringhofer Road, the drainage area there? That washes out?
On the front there, yeah, so we fixed that before, that came through like where it's coming over the wall. So we fixed that again, and then after the last storm, it held up, from when, it was brought to our attention. So, and then even before that last storm, we made sure to go double check to make sure it was still holding up, and it was good.
Okay,
Do they still have those boom, am I calling them right, the socks?
those big things.
Yeah,
I call them
the
snakes.
filters, yeah, the silt socks, yeah.
Are they still down there?
I'd asked somebody to go grab them, I'd have to check to see if they're still there. The one that were up by the fence. I feel like when I went by
Yeah, it
today, I
was
didn't
like-
remember seeing them, but I can double check and verify.
Okay,
I felt like today when I went by, they were gone, but I'll double check.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions?
I'm just curious, reading through some of the investigations from Cody on landfill gas complaints, he noted on a couple occasions, property owners displaying landfill opposition signs, and he sent those in email response to the state. Is that something that should be included in correspondence to the state?
I
I'm
mean,
confused.
Yeah, I think with Cody, when he responds to some of them, he'll say if he sees the sign, or maybe in his.
I missed that
yeah.
one.
I mean, some of those are just our road patrol, so he just adds those.
Yeah, it was from Cody,
Yeah.
one I got.
It was the one where it was like, I think he sent that back to Matt, cause it was deep into Hellertown and it was like a random spot and, but again, that was, I can't answer for Cody, so.
Okay.
Okay, but first your amendment, right, is to put a sign in your yard. I can't tell people they can't put signs in their yards.
And I don't think anybody told them they
What's
couldn't.
that?
I don't think anybody told them they couldn't.
No, okay, I'm
Yeah.
just,
Yeah,
I'm
he was
making note.
noting it back to
Okay.
Matt
Yeah.
Yeah.
from the state.
And again, that'd be Cody, would have to answer that, so.
Let's see.
I also noticed that on the complaint list that when the flare was down, there were absolutely no complaints. There was one, and it was actually on site on Apple Butter Road, a drive-by. So
Right.
that was a
You
good
need to
thing.
talk into the microphone for the record, for the minutes.
You want me to say it all over
Yes,
again?
please, I guess.
Okay. Looking at the complaint logs, I've checked the dates that the flare was
Okay.
offline, and there was only one complaint, and it was made as a drive-by on Apple Butter Road. So that was a positive. So, and I'd also like to say that the operational standards of this landfill have improved immensely. And I've said it before, and I will say it every time. And I appreciate it.
I think so.
I think we all do, Donna.
Okay, anybody else have anything to add?
Good afternoon. Jason Bononis, Lower Saucon Township resident. Can you hear me? So I was looking at some of the documents that became available to me, And DEP issued or provided January 27, 2024 for a December 2023 meeting that took place at the landfill. And they noted at that time that all emission levels were below the 500 parts per million action limits. They also noted at that time that all flows went directly to the Bethlehem wastewater treatment plant, and that there were 0 trucks that had tripped the radiation monitoring system. And then I also have the DEP inspection report. This is December 13, 2023. And it looks like DEP investigated 93 separate items or categories, and they found no violations. And those categories fall under the following topics: general provisions, daily operations, covers, slopes, vegetation, water quality protection, liner systems, leachate treatment, water quality monitoring, minerals and gas, record keeping and reporting, emergency procedures, recycling, special handling, and residual waste. And among all of those 93 categories or items, there were no violations that were found. Now, I don't know Matthew Vipond. He's the DEP inspector, but I have seen his name on many of these reports, and I believe he's been inspecting the landfill for quite a while. And I certainly don't pretend to be smarter or know more than a DEP inspector, but in my view of this, it seems like the landfill is very well run, and the fact that there's no violations that were noted suggests that you know, a lot of the comments that were made here really don't have much merit. You know, certainly if a DEP inspector who's trained to address these issues is not finding problems, it's not for those who do not possess the requisite level of technical skill or expertise to draw these things into question. I did note that in his report, in all fairness, that there was a finding of slight and moderate odor, and the inspector did enter the property at that time, and it was determined that the flare was not running at the time because it was being serviced. And I'm assuming that that flare was put back online promptly, and it continues to operate. Is that fair?
Correct, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments?
Is this, is the municipal waste inspection report going to be part of the record of this meeting that Jason referenced? Because it really does have some great things, such as operator, you know, complies with air quality plan approval and air quality operating permit, no violation. Operator performs regular, frequent, and comprehensive site inspections to reduce potential for off-site odors, no violation. You get, somebody was mentioned the radioactive material, you know, and someone mentioned the coverage. Uniform cover of the approved daily cover material is placed on exposed solid waste at the end of each working day or at the end of the 24 hours, whichever interval is less. No violation. So I think this should be part of the record for the meeting.
Okay, anybody else have any
Want me
comments?
to read it in?
You just did.
I could read it all, though. It's 10 pages.
I can just say, I actually thought it would be helpful just in preparing for the meeting, since we're doing them like quarterly, that we have like all of the Hanover engineering reports that come in before the meeting and all of the DEP reports that come in before the meeting, just made part of the packet. So then they would be part of, and I think they should be part of the record. It's fine. I mean, they're part of our township record anyway, but I agree that we should have them, because I like to go through them. I actually, when Mr. Bedonis was going through that report, I was trying to pull it up, but I realized it wasn't worth it because it would take me too long to find out where I have it stored. So thank you.
I just wanted to make it part of the record for this meeting, and then whatever you want to do in the future. I agree with what you just said, Victoria, that it should all be part of the record for the meeting.
It appears that all the recent reports are on the township website, that the township has availability to. They're all there.
Yes, they are.
Every one of them before I came
Right.
here today.
Yeah, we have them on the website, but we can make a packet moving forward.
Helpful for the committee. Okay, Bob, did you want to talk?
Yeah, a couple of things. The so-called expertise of the DEP in this matter. Does it, because there were no complaints, you're trying to imply, I guess, that or that there were no violations, rather, I guess you said.
I'm not implying, the DEP says there's no violations in this.
You didn't let me finish, Tom, as usual.
Wait a minute.
Well, you're looking at me and asking a question.
Okay, Tom, you're out of line. You can't talk. He has the floor.
Seems to me that you're implying that because there were no violations, that there should be no complaints.
I'm stating there's no
On the
violation.
way home last
He asked me a
night,
question. He asked me a question.
on the way home, I didn't ask you a question, I made a
Sing the
statement.
chair.
I'll answer a question.
On the way home last night, we smelled it down on Riverside.
You had your
Sunday
windows down?
evening down on Riverside. Yesterday afternoon down on Riverside. A week or so ago, and I called it in, it was so bad at our house, and when you went up to up apple butter on the way home, it was so bad it actually burned your eyes.
And what day was that? Do you remember?
The day we were going home from a meeting here, but I forget which day it was.
It wasn't last night. It was.
No,
the
it was a
11th
couple
when
weeks
we had
ago.
our
We
budget
called it
meeting?
in. We called it in.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
And no.
Oh, okay.
And I find it awfully interesting that if there is no reason for complaint, that personal citizens in this township are willing to invest their own money to fight this landfill in the court of law in the court of Northampton County. Thank you.
There's there's 11 residents
Hey,
here out of
excuse-
11,000.
You're out of line.
11,000 residents, there's
Out of
11
line.
residents here. And I find it interesting that
being
in
recognized.
sub-zero temperature, Mr.
I
is
would like
driving
to
around with
say
his windows down to smell the landfill.
that I
I find
misstated.
that unbelievable and perhaps a lie.
That I misstated. I am not the chair. I'm the co-liaison with Victoria running this meeting.
Recess,
I just wanted that to be, so it's not misunderstood. And you're back again?
I am, and thank you for clarifying what your role is. And I was going to point out that you are not the chair of this committee. You are one of two liaisons from council to this, and I'm not sure what authority gives you to run this meeting. As I understand it, this is a meeting that is between the township and the community and the landfill. And as such, it's my understanding that the township manager is the person who's supposed to be running this meeting, not a liaison. You know, I see you want to self-appoint yourself in charge of this meeting, but I don't believe that that's proper. And if you can cite to something in the host municipal agreement, a statute, or some other agreement with the landfill as to how this is to operate, I would welcome seeing that. I would ask the township manager and you to please provide copies of that to me so that I can review it, so that we don't have to deal with this issue at further landfill committee meetings.
Right. Until then, I'm going to speak.
if I can just say, I think if we, I think we could run this meeting diplomatically, kindly, and wait for one person to speak at a time, come up to the podium or speak at a microphone if you have a comment, but if we could respect some level of decorum and not try to speak over somebody. I think if we establish and agree upon, maybe Mr. Croce, can you agree that if somebody's talking, whether or not they have a question, you just let them finish their comment and then you can say kindly, I'd like to answer that question, this is how I'm gonna answer it. And we can go that way, and then we don't get into this, how we're running the meeting and why somebody's doing this and insinuate that somebody might have some intent. I think we could just get through the meeting. I thought it was going great. You were commenting, Mr. Bononis was commenting, you were all waiting your turn. Can we just wait for somebody to finish talking before somebody else comments? Can you agree with me that we can do that together?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I was doing that, and I'm always kind.
So, thank you. I appreciate you agreeing with me that we'll
I'm
try to do that.
I'm a little offended you suggested I was unkind. I feel I'm always kind.
I'd like to read for the record that according to the latest host agreement, 5M, it says Landfill Committee, BLC, and the township shall continue to participate in the Lower Saucon Township Landfill Committee, or the Landfill Committee, to monitor and review the operation of the landfill. The Landfill Committee shall consist of 2 BLC representatives and 2 residents from the township. The landfill committee shall meet quarterly and shall have the discretion to set its own meeting schedules and administrative procedure as the landfill committee deems necessary.
I thought, you know, Astor sitting in the center of the table, he's on the committee, I think, as the representative for the landfill. So, Astor, did you have any problem with Priscilla and I asking questions during the process of going through the packet?
No, I didn't have any.
I don't, if they don't have a problem with it, I don't see why we have to make a problem out of it. But Ms. Louder, or maybe I'll have Ms. Astor, would you like to invite the people from the podium?
It doesn't matter to me. It's
Okay.
whatever, so.
We
It was
were
up,
always
yeah.
informal.
Yeah,
And we always ran a good, I always
Yeah.
was comfortable with meetings in the past, so.
yeah.
Donna Louder, Still City. I served on the landfill committee for many years. I've gone on inspections with Hanover Engineer for many years. I returned back to the township for the meeting, and the way it was handled was the engineer from Hanover would conduct the meeting. If there was questions and clarity needed, the landfill person basically explained their position on it. But the word from Hanover Engineer, as the hired engineer from the township, basically had the control at the meeting. That's my memory. Secondly, Mr. Blasco. I don't know where he went. Okay. The DEP sets the rules and the regulations for our landfill. The rules and regulations are met. The landfill is within its permit limits, period. The unfortunate thing is, this is a landfill. It is the nature of the beast that we will have odors. We will have other things happen, and unfortunately, acts of nature happen at the landfill, which create these issues for us. And again, I am going to say it. Since Astor has taken over this landfill, I can honestly say the operational standards are above and beyond. When the others were there, they didn't even respect the residents. I'm sorry, but this is really close to my heart because it's our homes. So, again, yes, the DEP sets the regulations, but unfortunately, there are things in position, acts of God, that, I'm sorry, the landfill has to handle, and they have been handling it in a timely manner. I've had 2 complaints directly to Astor in December. The 3rd and the 8th, I believe it was. And his information back to me was, the weather is not cooperating. I am doing the best I can. I know what I have to do, and I'm getting it done. Those were the only 2 days that I had issues. Mind you, I'm on the north end of it right now. But with this new expansion going through, I'm gonna be looking at it again through my windows. So I don't expect it to be flawless, but I also don't expect for the standards to be any lower than what they are now. Thank you for listening.
Okay. Who ran the meetings last year?
I think Mr. Bononis ran them.
Jason ran the meetings?
I believe so.
Oh, so I'm just following suit then.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
don't know that the last host agreement was specific as to who ran the
Right.
meetings and who didn't. So, I mean,
So I don't have a problem with Scott running the meetings. I'm not here to run, to take power away from anybody. So, if Scott wants to run the meetings like it was when, like Donna said, I was on the committee with you, Donna, and the Hanover.
Hanover engineer ran it. That's the bottom line. And I think, to be honest with you, maybe that's where it should go back to.
Right.
Because it's a lot of wasted time. You're in charge. Have at it.
Thank you very much.
are you comfortable with running
Well,
the meeting?
honestly, mean, we start. Yeah, I have no problem opening the
I mean-
meeting, and I'm just gonna probably turn it over to Astor to go through the report, and then just recognize
Right,
the committee members first, and then
I mean,
it's not gonna be really any different than
What's happening now?
what's happening.
I know. So, I mean, I didn't and I asked questions like I'm gonna when whoever's running the meeting, so I don't have a problem with that. You know, Astor, you've always been, I don't know what word to use, cooperative, accommodating, and you do run a good landfill compared to past operators. I will say that. And I've said that in the past.
Right.
So. Well,
Mark's been
then
waiting
Scott, I
patiently
guess
there.
take over there's people standing at the podium.
Well, at this point,
Yeah, Mark,
recognize
Mark's
that
been
that's-
waiting patiently.
okay, Mark, you have the floor.
Mark Ozimek, Reddington Road. I'm here to contradict some of your conversations. As far as Hanover Engineering, if I could put this all in order. As far as Hanover Engineering running the meeting, Hanover Engineering, if it chooses to do that, should run it in cooperation and in coordination with the township. I have also been at 2 previous meetings where I stated Lower Saucon Township needs to take control of the dump. I don't care if you don't like the idea. I really don't. And Mr. Bononis, as far as being, you know, a professional, whatever was brought up, my nose works pretty well. And ever since the election, don't ask me why, I'm not going to speculate, but the smell at my house, up Reddington Road to the top of the bridge, I seen you drive up the one day,
Yep.
and I was walking the dog, has been pretty bad. And even though before the election it might have had a couple days here and there, as far as maybe 2 years ago, whatever, we never had a smell out there, ever. I've been in my house for 22 years. Didn't have issues like we're having today. So, as far as what generates the smell, I don't know. As far as the trash being covered every day, at the end of the day, I don't know. But I do know that Lower Saucon needs to put together a team of people, one including a cop who is on duty, so that when there's an issue with smells and there's a half a dozen calls called in, the committee, or whatever you want to call it, for Lower Saucon Township has access to the dump at least before closing to make sure that you guys are doing what you're supposed to do by the book. Do you agree with me, Astor? I mean, I don't ever see the landfill completely closing. As far as it being a necessity, somewhat it is. Everybody has garbage, got to go somewhere. The good thing about this meeting is to hear that some of the northern states are going to ship it down to, where do you say?
We're shipping it to Alabama.
To where?
Alabama.
Alabama. Send it next to my ex-wife's house. I'm not sure, but all I know is it's been worse out at my house. And I had another question for you, because I took the picture going home from a township meeting, the movie, if you want to call it that, of the water coming out of the mountain. That came for me when I was going past the hill climb. And the other pictures that I post are from the steakhouse over at 33 and Freemansburg Avenue. Every time we go out to eat, I'll go stand next to the steakhouse and I'll take some pictures at a dump. What is it used to have, well, it was the dump, but now it's got some big hump in it. What is that?
Stockpile of soil, clean soil.
That's your clean soil pile?
Yeah, we had a couple jobs that came in. I tried not to turn any soil away because after the whole COVID situation and I couldn't get soil, and I ended up getting NOV because I didn't have any soil. So now I try not to turn it away, and so I have a soil stockpile, which I have it in that spot because it's close to the working face, which makes it easy to cover it.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Glad to see you thinking ahead. I guess that's all, but, you know, as far as my contradicting, you know, as far as the landfill being perfectly operated, I don't know if it is or it isn't, but the smell is an issue. And it's an issue by people just driving down 78.
So, I mean, just to comment on the things you said. So one, when you saw me that morning, I drove that particular time because you had talked to me about that time. That's why I went out that time, which I did. I'm pretty sure it was that day. I know one of those times after you talked to me, I did catch the odor, which is why we decided to cap it. Because to your point also, the whole time since I've been here, which April will be 5 years, I'd never, ever smelled a landfill on Reddington Road, and I caught it. So immediately from that decision is when I went back and made phone calls to the people above me and told them I needed to cap it. So, you know, you notifying me so I can go out and investigate it and see that there was a problem, helped me be able to push the ball forward to get that done. So I just wanted to point that out. Like, yes, you're correct. April will be 5 years. I never smelled an odor on Reddington or 78, and I have, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
No, that's good to know. As far as Blasco said with last night going home, it did smell on the Hill Climb Road when I went home. And I went home about 12:30. The meeting went till 12 o'clock last night. As far as the complaint list here where it says Reddington Road, I don't know how many are Blasco's or anybody else, but I know I called in several times. And if that's the way they list me, then that's the way they list me, as Reddington Road.
They don't put names down, they just
I
put
see no names on
addresses.
here.
Yeah, they just put the street.
No. DEP won't do that.
Okay. Well, I don't care if they do, but, I mean, I complained about it on Apple Butter at the storage unit. You know, you knew that was happening for a while. DEP knew that was happening too for a while. And one of the last conversations I had on the phone with them is that yous were gonna get hit with a violation if that wasn't cleared up and fixed. There's nobody here from DEP to talk about it either? No. So, you know, as far as DEP and Hanover Engineering having control of it, Lower Saucon Township as a whole in itself and with some of the citizens need more control of the landfill to make sure that you guys are doing what you're supposed to do. You know?
And just to add to, sorry, is that?
No, go, if you wanna answer, maybe we can, Brian Morrow has a question, so I just thought we'd, hopefully, I didn't wanna cut you off, Mark, I just wanna make sure.
I'll
We
shut
can-
up, I'm done.
I was just gonna comment too, again, like, you know, we have the hotline, right, is on the township
The what?
webpage. The hotline is on the township webpage still.
They still have information on where to call, yes.
Right, so, I mean, I've always said it, like, call the DEP. I'm never gonna tell anybody not to call the DEP. But, you know, again, like with the water, if it's a concern, you know, I'm pretty sure that hotline with that extension goes directly to my cell phone. You have my cell phone number. Let me know so I can look into it. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty responsive almost all the time, unless
Yeah,
I
you
don't
have
get the
been with
message
me.
or, yeah. So, I mean, I've come out in the middle of the night before, come out on the weekends, you know, I mean, I can't guarantee 100% response all the time, you know, things do happen, but for the most part, I try to be responsive, and if I can, I'll try to send somebody else out. But again, that is no deterrent to report anything to the DP. Still call the DP, but I can't investigate or have my team look into anything if we don't know about it either. And sometimes 2-3 days later is not helpful because now the event is over. So, you know, again, I just always like to remind everybody, you know, to, if you see something and it's a concern, to please reach out.
Just like,
And that's what I should have done as well. When I called DEP, I should have called you, or I should have made a attachment phone call where it calls both of you,
Right.
you know? But, no, I didn't bother calling you when I just reported it to DEP because, you know, the smell's there, it's in the air, what are you gonna do, snap your fingers and make it go away? It don't work that way. I
If
know
it did,
that.
I would do it, for sure.
In line.
Yeah, it'd be done, it'd be
Gonna
done
make it
already.
all smell like the steakhouse
Right, yeah.
and baked potatoes.
Right.
Brian, if you could just grab that mic that you're sharing with Priscilla, just,
Well, first, I want to say, Astor, thanks for all the information you provided. Very informative for me. I'm still new to this committee and looking for some more information, so I have a few more questions for you. Hopefully, I can humor you and make them nice and easy for you, but I'm looking for background information. When smells are investigated, how is that conducted? Is that just by driving around and doing a sniff test on your own? Is there some sort of machine that measures something? I'm just kind of curious.
I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate, but yeah, it's just old school driving around. You smell it, you know, look at the wind directions, figure out, you know, the source. You know, if we determine that it is us, then generally we go back to the site, try to look for, you know, an area where we're smelling something similar, which is pretty much how we got led back to the southeastern realignment. That section, because, you know, you go on site and it's strong there.
Are you talking about a direct complaint to Astor or
No.
a direct complaint to the DEP? What
To
happened?
the DEP, like when anybody goes and investigates, I didn't know if there was a machine that somebody measures smell by or what.
Basically, and I'll give you an example of what happened to me back in 2016, 17. Back in 2016 and 17, when the landfill was not being managed by Astor, I made an odor complaint, and it was horrific. Called the DEP. At 10:30 at night, the DEP showed up at my house, and we're walking my yard, our yard. And basically, they said they smelt it a little bit. Now, you have to understand that odors, we are slaves to the wind, is the bottom line. We are slaves to the wind. So when anybody calls in an odor complaint, you better know which way the wind is blowing, because you might be saying you smell an odor and the wind's blowing in an opposite direction. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
So that's how the DEP handled it for me. So, and Astor, again, he gets the calls, and I've seen him in Still City multiple times. I've seen the DEP in Still City multiple times. I'm walking my dogs a lot, so.
Brian,
Just the other thing, there's a gas odor, that's what we're smelling out on Apple Butter Road. But then there's a waste odor, and they're very distinct.
Yeah, you can tell the difference.
So.
Yes, I just didn't know if there was some sort of machine that measures something like that. I had no idea. The other question I had is, and how many trucks come in a day, and are they supposed to follow a designated route?
Yeah, we have a traffic compliance plan. They're supposed to come off of 78 for 12 Shimmersville Road up a butter.
Okay, because I've noticed over the years an increase of traffic on Lower Saucon, and just kind of concerned about that, and I didn't know if you or the state was, responsible for saying, hey, take the other route, or.
Yeah, no, and we do, we try to police that the best we can. I do know that there's times where I've seen, you know, Shred trucks go that back way, SES, which is on Riverside Drive, I've seen them, you know, even
Lower Saucon's a state road.
And even then, we've asked, you know, SES, which I know where they're going, to go around, but they'll still sometimes make the left out of there. And then we do have, you know, a lot of guys that haul dirt, you know, I shouldn't say a lot of guys, but there are guys who haul dirt that come in and they'll turn left, and again, we call them. I mean, we try to place it the best we can.
I see them full coming past, and obviously we know where they're going.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Can I just
Is
say
there
something?
someone that, you know, that somebody could reach out to the state if they see that increase in
Yeah, I
truck
mean, they
traffic?
can call the DP, they can call me. I mean, I've had, I don't remember her name. There was a resident that lived on the corner of Lower Saucon, and I think when they were cleaning out the tires over there on Industrial Park Road, there was trucks that were coming there and they were speeding, and she called me, and, you know, we dealt with it, and I responded back to her and let her know, you know, what we did, to let me know if she continued to have issues, and it did get better. And then when she had another one, she called me, and we, you know, handled it again, so, and then I haven't heard from her since, so.
So we're asking residents in that area, if you see a truck on that route, you should try to get at least the color of or the license plate, which would be hard to read if they're zooming past your house. But that way then you can call them, and then they can look on their log to see and match up the truck, I call it colors of the trucks. But
Yeah, no.
and they can figure out who it was then.
To start, usually they have a number on the hood somewhere, a big number. So if you can catch the number and the color, then we have cameras. We'll go back and look and track them down.
Yeah, a lot of SES.
Yeah.
Esther, have you considered the idea of like putting a sign at the entrance of the landfill, but faced in the direction for trucks exiting, that says like no left turn or something like that?
We actually have two, and we ordered a bigger one of just the arrow with it crossed out, but there's actually a yellow one right when you come out of the gate, and I believe it's actually in both English and Spanish, and then there's one on but it's smaller, so we ordered a bigger one. So,
Okay, so
yeah.
because I, all right, thank you, because I thought that was a good idea. Thank you.
May I suggest that you get yourself a copy of the Pennsylvania DEP Chapter 25 and read it. It'll tell you all the regulations that this gentleman has to follow and all the hoops he has to jump to make sure that that landfill's doing the right thing.
Yeah, I don't expect him going out there knocking on truckers' doors saying, hey, no left-hand turn.
And it's tractor trailers. It's not a regular routine trash truck you see come pick up your trash.
Yeah, it's the big ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, they're gonna get jammed up and break the bridge. And they don't let you know.
Mark, maybe one more time.
The chief sitting back here can correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of devil's advocate here. Apple Butter Road's a state road, correct?
Yes.
Truck drivers pay federal taxes to use our roads. So theoretically, Astor can make a sign and put it outside. As far as the truckers listening to it, it's up to them to listen to it, and if they don't, since it's a state road and they pay federal taxes to use our roads, there's really not much can be done about it.
The part of the DEP permit that the landfill has to operate, in order to operate, they have to have a specific truck route. So it's, the enforcement mechanism is because the permit has a truck route specified, which only calls for use of Shimersville and 412 to 78. So it's not like really a trucker issue, but I think that's why the landfill was getting involved with it, because it's a DEP permit. And then if they have a problem with that, then eventually the DEP could nab that issue as something under their permit to operate.
I mean, if there are drivers that violate the haul route, that is not.
Right,
our
you can't,
violation of the
no,
permit, just
no,
to be clear.
no.
We're required to have that haul route. We inform our customers of the haul route. We have the signs posted.
Right, you have to do your due
And if there's a road
diligence.
driver, that is something that is, beyond our control,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I've figured. I don't know if I'm sticking up for truck drivers or ratting out the garbage dump, however you want to look at it, but you're entitled to tell them whatever you want. I just wanted to kind of point that out because you can't put somebody out in the street, tell them no left turn. But I guess DEP and the dump has an agreement, and the truckers want to keep going there and working and stay employed, then they should listen to it. Or else he could boot them with the overweight thing.
Yeah.
The trucks and the trucks are permitted, right? So they have their own permits. So if you provide the information of trucks not using the designated haul route and that goes to DEP, then DEP can go after those drivers directly, presumably because of their permits. So provide the information. If you see it, let us know, and we can get that information to DEP or let DEP know independently, or both, preferably both.
Good, cool, thank you.
I'd like to speak.
Hey, Andy. Yeah.
And sorry, one more thing, Esther. If you receive information that a customer is violating the haul route, is that part of you? Is that you have the ability to issue a suspension or a warning?
And we do, and we have, yeah.
Okay. Andy Krasnansky, I live right across the street. I look out my window and I see, whatever, a big mountain of dirt. gets higher and higher every day. 675 feet, that's what they want to go up to. Anyhow, I noticed on some of your numbers up there on the overweight trucks that are coming in here, and I did some math, and it's over 33% of the truck coming in and out of there are overweight. That's a lot. Out of, what, 200, 2,500 of them, and you had 7, okay, came out to 33%. That's a lot, and to me, there should be a way of somehow punishing these people for coming in overweight. Number one, you know they're overweight. But nothing gets done about it by the township. The township's missing out on all kinds of big bucks on that because of the fact, let's say there could be 100,000 a month in overweight fees that they're not getting. Could be more, I don't know. I don't know what they're charging per ton. That's one thing. The other thing is, I know you were saying about your designated route, trucks going up and down the road. If anybody wants to know how many there are, I set up a trail cam, and I have a lot of pictures, a lot. And I also have a spreadsheet when, going back a couple of years, I know the color of the trucks, not the drivers, but the truck numbers, I have pictures, all that stuff. Let me know what you want.
Can you share that with the township, and we can share it with Astor, and maybe we can help try to deal with that?
You put a trail cam up there on, I stuck it on the tree right in the lawn, so anything going up and down, took a picture of it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of pictures on there. The last time I looked, those SIM cards can hold a lot of pictures, and there's over 30-some thousand pictures on that thing.
On 30,000 pictures.
So who wants to look through them all? You're gonna have a lot of cars, and we also have a lot of, like there's Burger going up and down the street. There's that Whitetail Disposal, there's Simon's, there's Riz, there's SES, there's Republic, and Shrin, and I could go on and on and on and on and name them. And some of these guys ain't doing a speed limit, I can tell you that right now, they're going flying up the road. And that's about it for now. I could think of more, but I know the designated route, that has a lot to do with it, and that was part of that thing that was going on back in May. It was on there. And the funny thing about it was, you had said that these guys sign a waiver or whatever it is, that they will not go up that road. And I saw that name up there, and I looked at that, and I thought to myself, that guy just went up the road 2 days ago.
Yeah.
J&G Cruz, he's another one, yellow and black tractors.
Yeah.
Yeah, up the road they go, and they come down the hill, and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
That's all I got for now.
And I'm no math expert, but I just want to make sure the record's clear, because I don't think that the overweights represent 33% of the trucks coming in.
Well, the calculator isn't right on my phone, that's what I did.
It's about 3.
About 3%.
About 3%, not 33.
It's there, yeah.
Wait,
So,
is it 3% or 30%?
It's 3%. I mean,
Okay.
it's 70.
3%.
Like October was 74, and you had a total of 2,520 trucks.
Either way, there's funds being missed out on priorities. Police department, I collected that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anne Marie?
My name is Anne Marie, excuse me, Anne Marie Crown. I'm a resident of the township. I tend in my personal nature to believe in the future and to be very hopeful about the future. And my hope was lifted in this meeting by the mention of a PFAS pilot program, and further enhanced by hearing you say you're building out a facility for this purpose. This is the future. The landfill is here, so I tend to look at the future and what can be done not only for the rest of my life, but for the generations that follow. And I believe that PFAS is the big issue. So I'm very grateful that it is being handled in some way. And I would say to you, as someone in the township, if there is anything I can ever do to volunteer to move that forward, I would do that too. And thank you for something very positive today.
Thank you. I don't see anybody else, but I would defer to Astor and our engineer. Do you want to end the meeting?
Yeah.
That's it.
Could have.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't realize.
I wanted to do this at the end. I'm Elizabeth Blasco. I'm a resident of the township. My husband is Bob. And I just want to end this meeting with the fact that there was an inference my husband had lied. He has not lied. He's been very truthful and honest. And I resent the fact that it was even inferred in a meeting and put on the record. And I want the record to show that that was false. Thank you.
The record will reflect that, just like it will reflect that Mr. Bononis ran the meetings last year.
Thank you.
Okay,
I think we're done. Thank you, everyone.
Pleasure.
adjourned.
Thank you, everybody, for